Hello ladies and gentlemen, as always, I'm your host, Airsoft Al, and today I want to kind of talk about something that I think a lot of us can kind of get behind. And if you've read the title, then I think you understand where this is going, and if you know my portfolio and you know my reviews, you know exactly what I'm about to talk about. Because I've been asked this question a lot, and this question has even popped in my own head. What designates an LPEG nowadays? What is considered an LPEG nowadays? For those of you who don't know what an LPEG is a low-powered electric gun, or LPEG. Sad to say, though, the designation now is kind of muddled. And what I mean by muddled is that back in the day, you could definitely designate what is an LPEG. A good example, of course, comes from our good old friends Crossman and these. These, of course, being the tiny little chibi guns, as I like to call them, because they're chibi-ized, and for those of you who don't know what anime is, chibi is basically cute, small, little things. These are basically just copies of Tokyo Marui's little tiny guns, UTG, Double Eagle, Well, basically anyone who basically miniaturizes full-scale guns. These are tiny, below 100 FPS, and don't have any hop-up. They're just they're powered by batteries. They aren't really just they don't actually have functioning safety. It's literally just pull down and hold the trigger. It's once again, it's just one of those things. It's gravity fed, but then again, the designation has kind of been, in my mind, muddled because they're comparing these little tiny things to stuff that really isn't an LPEG. Because now the definition, from my understanding, has now expanded to guns that are below 300 FPS. Which, if you think about it, that kind of also covers Tokyo Marui. Because for those of you who don't know, Japan's FPS laws basically says that now guns in Japan have to be below 300 FPS, or at least something along that nature. Again, every single country's FPS law is wholly erratic and completely different, be it from the UK or even to Japan or even Taiwan or anywhere in the area, in the European or even South China Sea, or even, anywhere around that area where the FPS laws are just up and down, essentially. But what I'm trying to say is that the FPS now apparently for an LPEG is below 300 FPS. And that can basically cover all Tokyo Marui AEGs, because Tokyo Marui AEGs are below 300 FPS. But what confuses me is that they try to designate an LPEG as something that it's not an LPEG, or at least not fit the original definition of an LPEG, in my opinion. A good example of this is, of course, this. This is the Economy HK416. Which you can get at Man Store. I've said it many times before. You can actually get these at Man Store. You can use my coupon code AirsoftAL to get 7% off your entire purchase. But here's the thing, though. This can be upgraded. I've done a takedown guide on this. You can actually upgrade this. You can HPA this thing. It has essentially a version 2 gearbox. You can even replace the motor on this, because the motor is a short, RC motor that you can replace. And I am damn near tempted to actually see if I can find a nice high torque motor that will actually fit in this, that I can actually replace with. There are a lot of things like this can be done to, and this apparently is considered an LPEG, even though this shoots over 300 FPS. And yes, I have upgraded the spring in this to where it shoots over 300 FPS. But stock, it does shoot about 300 to 320. But again, it confuses me that things like this are considered LPEGs. Even the AK-12 that I did a review on, the JG AK-12, which, if you haven't seen that review, please go check out my AK-12 review. This is considered an LPEG. And apparently the broader definition of an LPEG is even more weird, which I completely understand it. For those of you who have seen the Double Eagle M4, it takes wholly proprietary M4 mags. There are even some AEGs that take wholly proprietary M4 mags. But this one, in particular, does not take proprietary M4 mags, instead can take standard AEG M4 mags, and feed it quite well. So, it confuses me that they would consider this an LPEG. So, I kind of want to help you guys out on this, because a lot of you are probably going to get the same reaction I got from a lot of people when I started talking about these and I started reviewing these, saying that this is an LPEG, the MTAR is an LPEG, or even the AK-12 is an LPEG. No, they're not, because here's my definition of it, to kind of help you guys out. Airsoft Al's definition of an LPEG is this. It is a small, compact gun or something that takes a wholly proprietary magazine that shoots well below 200 FPS, cannot be upgraded at all, be it swapping out the barrel, swapping out the hop-up, or anything of that nature, and is essentially not a viable option for even for backyard skirmishing is not a viable option, and should only be used as sort of like a gag gun or even something of that nature. Now, there are exceptions to this rule. The Double Eagle M4, I've actually talked to a lot of people about. I've actually held one myself, and while, yes, it is a wholly proprietary gun, there are upgrades for it. Apparently, people have been able to upgrade them and even do a lot of cool stuff with it. The Double Eagle M4 is even the base gun for a lot of gel ball blasters. What am I saying? It is the gel ball blaster for a lot of countries that don't have airsoft, but do have gel ball blasting, or gel ball leagues and things like that. Apparently, it is the very definition of essentially the G&G combat machine. And I wholly like that. And it's kind of cool to know that they do have upgrades for it, and even can do really cool things with it. That is something I think I like, and we'll probably take the Double Eagle M4 and put it out of the LPEG category. But something that's not an LPEG, and something to help you guys out. Once again, going back to the HK416. The HK416 economy is not an LPEG. It is fully upgradable. You can upgrade this. You can do a lot of evil with it, and if you're careful with it, you can even just work wonders with the internals. Once again, go check out my takedown guide on this to see what I'm talking about. It is fully wired to Tamiya, small Tamiya. You can put a new spring in this, which is what I did. You can replace the gears to have full metal gears. You can replace the motor in this with a Nutter-style motor. It takes, once again, wholly all M4 magazines. It can have all the attachments you want. The only big difference is it does not have a threaded barrel. But that can change because, well, here's the kicker. There are these little pegs on here that you can hopefully see on the camera. Hopefully. So if you want to, you could actually 3D print your own threading, put on there, and just tap it in there to where you have your own, well, 14mm negative or 14mm positive threading for all your crazy threading attachments. Which is what I might actually talk to a buddy of mine about. And once again, it's all... This is just a prime example of what is not an LPEG. Again, it still confuses me to this day about people, how they can just say something's an LPEG, but it's not. But then again, I'm just rambling by this point in time. But, here's the thing. I'm not saying there aren't LPEGs out there that are wholly bad. There are LPEGs out there that are not LPEGs, and they're just gems in the rough. Again, you can go back to my portfolio of all my reviews I've done on guns that are supposedly LPEGs, and even see some of the guns that are actual gems in the rough. Again, for those of you who actually do know about this, you do know what I'm talking about, and you understand what I'm talking about. For a lot of you who are still sticklers and elitist and want to try and defend your definition of an LPEG, that's perfectly fine, and we'll happily prove you wrong with some of the cool stuff we can create out of this. A viewer of mine actually took an MTAR and even completely upgraded it with a FAMAS gearbox, and I'm talking about an original Tokyo Marui FAMAS gearbox, completely upgraded the barrel itself, completely did whole sorts of evils to it that I'm honestly impressed by, and just shows how cool our community can be. Another thing is that a lot of LPEGs are actually really cool, and they're just knockoffs of official guns. Prime example. For those of you who know about the G3 SAS, which still makes no goddamn sense, you know it's basically, let me just reach over to my G3 here, is basically just the G3 completely compact, where it has a short barrel. And it's just a full stock variant. That one goes for about $100, if not below $100. And the Crossman variant is all polymer. You can find the Clearsoft version, or you can find one that is not Clearsoft. Completely compact, goes for between $60 to $100, but is entirely upgradable. Can still work, can still do all that, and is around the 300 FPS mark. But it still holds the same functionality of a G3, and still accepts G3 style magazines. So even then, people will try and say that's an LPEG, but it's not, because you can still upgrade it. You can still do a lot of stuff to it. So in the same argument in vein, you can claim that the JG variant of it is a LPEG, but it's not. You can claim that the Tokyo Marui version of it, which was the original version that everyone has copied, is an LPEG, but it's not. So again, it's rather confusing to see how a lot of people will say something's an LPEG when in reality it isn't. So, like I said, my definition of an LPEG, something that cannot be upgraded, takes wholly proprietary magazines, and is either the small little compact thing, like this right here, or is a full-size gun that is wholly overpriced and just cannot be worked on at all. And for those of you who wonder why I say can't be worked on at all or can't be upgraded, is because my core philosophy is that everything should be given a chance. Guns, even like this right here, even the cheap economy stuff, need to be given a chance and even can show really awesome things that can be done with them. And again, my portfolio of my takedown guides, my reviews, even my gameplay footage shows that a lot of these supposed LPEGs can be given a chance, should be given a chance, and show just how good they are. Either way, though, that's my piece, ladies and gentlemen, and I thought I'd just go ahead and voice it. So, let me know in the comment section down below what you think of this, what you think of the modern term of LPEG, and sort of how it should be redefined, or how you would redefine LPEG, and if you agree with my definition of LPEG. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, I've been Airsoft Al, the Common Man's Airsofter, who kind of shares his opinion on stuff because no one's talking about it, and should be talked about. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, I will see you all next time. Later!